Now, a really common problem guitar players often face when trying to learn the notes on the fretboard is ending up being in a position where they know some of it, know pockets of the neck, but not all of it. You might say, for instance, know the notes at fret 5 and 4 for relative tuning, or you might say know the dots, the fret markers, or you might know one string very well. But how do you get to the point where you know instantly all of the notes on the fretboard? Now, depending on where you are with your learning of the fretboard, you may need first my previous video that I made last month on this topic. I'll put a link in the description to that. There's also a link there to today's lesson resources and my Patreon page. Now, I think ultimately a mixture of doing different practice methods is what's going to help you achieve this, thinking both vertically and horizontally when approaching the fretboard. And I also think you being forced to think about where you can find notes on the guitar is probably the best thing you can do, because having to figure out things for yourself is going to be better for long-term memory retention. So I'm going to get you to try and find a melody on the guitar. I'm not going to tell you where to play it. So here on the screen are the notes to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, forgive me for that. And I want you to try and play it. I'm not going to tell you where, but you could see how many places you could find it. The absence of any tab or any sheet music there, I think, is helpful, and you're just forced to think about where you can find that melody on the guitar. Now, I'd imagine you're all familiar with that song. Now, I don't want you to be led by your ear. I want you to be led by where is the next note? Where do I find that note on the guitar from where I am now? Now, one thing about finding notes on the guitar for a melody, you're either going to find that next note on the same string or you're going to have to change string. I know that's obvious, but important to say. Also, just thinking about, well, you know, what finger you start with will probably determine how you want to play it. Say, for instance, if I've started from the C on the G string with my index, and I want to find the next note G, it's not going to make sense to go to the G which is on fret 3 on the E string, because I'm on my first finger and I'd have to go like that. So I could either go to G on the same string, fret 12, or I could go to the B string, fret 8. And again, if I started with my ring finger for the C, now those other options don't appeal as much to me. Now that one on fret 3 of the high E is more appealing. So the, you know, more is, so that comes into play as well when you're trying to find notes on the fretboard. Over time, what happens is you realize that in a key, there are certain places on the guitar that make sense for playing a song in that key or a melody in that key. And that's naturally going to be where you can find the scale C major in a comfortable place. Another way you can take yourself out of your comfort zone and really work at learning the notes on the fretboard is taking the notes of a scale and doing what I call the no scale position approach, the no position approach. So take the probably C major scale's best place to look, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and you try and play that, but you don't play it in a position that you already know, if you like, if you see what I mean. So I could say, I don't know, one thing we could try and do, say if I took this is one way someone might play a C major scale in 2 octaves. So from this C to this C, they might go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But let's say I do want to start here on this C and I do want to finish on this C, but I don't want to take that route. I'm going to just find my own way there. So maybe go C, D, let's stay on the A string, E, stay on the A string again, F, change string, G, A, I'm going to change string, B, C, keep on this string, D, E, going to change string, F, G, A, B, change string, C. Now I can't remember exactly what I just played, that's not the point, but I'm thinking about where I can find that next note that isn't in my comfortable, safe position. So it's kind of this idea of there's no position to it, but you still play the scale. You know, I could do it in, you know, say play C here, but then the next note play is open D. Forces you to think about where you can find the notes of that scale. Now, I think the benefits of that approach are it will make you think about where you can find the same note in different places. Yes, you might tap into, you know, octaves and things like that to help you, but it will take you away from the familiar, which is important. Now this next method I would suggest is taking the chords to a standard you could put a backing track on, and you've got to hit the root note of the chords as they move. So say if we were doing Autumn Leaves in G major, E minor, you know, you're going to need to find A, then D, then G, then C, then F sharp, then B, then E. You could just try and find those wherever you know them, or you could say force yourself to do it on one string, on two strings. You can mix things up, but the challenge is finding it in time and under pressure. So you could do this wherever you like on the guitar, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the chords to Autumn Leaves, just the A section. So A minor 7, D7, G major 7, C major 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B 7, E minor. What you've got to try and do is find the root note of each chords as they come by. So it would be like A 2 3 4, D 2 3 4, G 2 3 4, C 2 3 4, F sharp, B, E. Now you could do it anywhere, or you could limit yourself to two strings, one string, doesn't really matter. You could try different ways. You could do this with a backing track, just illustrating. So I'll play the chords and you've got to play an A when I'm playing A minor, find the note D when I play D, find the note G. It could be, like I say, on all over the fretboard. It could be on one string. It could be finding the nearest version of that next note. You know, instead of going A and then go, oh, D, you find the nearest D, which would be next door there at fret 5. So let's just try this with the A section twice. So I'll shout out the chords as I go. No, I'll put them on the screen, that'd be easier. And you just got to find the notes as the chords change. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So A, D, finding a G, finding a C, finding an F sharp, finding a B, finding an E. Have another go. A, D, G, C, F sharp, B, E. Now we all learn differently, and some of you may find that you just need to get really confident with a small area of the neck first and then move to another part. Say you could learn and get really confident with all the notes from open string to fret 5, say. Now if that approach works best for you, you could work at that and then move to, say, frets, you know, 5 to 8 and then so on until it all kind of comes together. If you did that, just some things you could do. You could take, say, position from open string to fret 5 and see what major scales you could play in that area of the guitar. Or you could take my exercise we just did where you've got to find the root notes as the chords change and play to a backing track, but just find them in that area of the guitar. So I've shared with you today just a few ways you could work, but really the onus is on you. It's all about putting in the time and I think regular work at this to get it. Don't expect to get this if you just work at it once a week. It's the sort of thing that I would suggest doing 5-10 minutes each time you practice, ideally every day if you can, and it will come together for you. Now if you need additional help, you'd like some more sort of exercises to help or sort of explore some of the things in more detail today, then there are exercises on my accompanist tier, the second tier, on my Patreon page related to today's video, link in the description. If you've got any questions about anything I've covered today, then please leave them below and I'll get back to you. Don't forget jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday. Until next time, you take care.